Steve, 2-1, the opener of the 1985 baseball year. Tonight, a half year later, they play for the World Series. Will it be Kansas City and remarkable George Brett? Kansas City, a team that has rallied from behind all season long. Or will it be Toronto, the favorite, a team that has seen a 3-game-to-1 edge erode? The Blue Jays are still perched one victory away from realizing the great Canadian dream. Sports presents the final game of the 1985 American League Championship Series. Tonight from Exhibition Stadium, it's the Kansas City Royals and the Toronto Blue Jays. Tonight's pregame show is brought to you by Duracell, the copper top battery. When it comes to making them last longer, we never stop. And by Anderson Window Walls. Come home to quality. Come home to Anderson. It's a cool autumn night in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The temperature in the mid-40s for this, the final game of the American League Championship Series. It's for the pennant tonight. The Toronto Blue Jays hosting the Kansas City Royals. Good evening, everyone. When I was a kid growing up about 200 miles from here in Michigan, used to listen on Saturday night to the hockey broadcast from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. And Foster Hewitt, the famed announcer, would say, "Good evening, hockey fans in Canada, the United States, and Newfoundland." Well, tonight it's good evening, baseball fans in Canada, the United States, and Newfoundland. And certainly millions will be watching throughout this nation of Canada, the largest audience to ever see a baseball game, watching our telecast tonight to see whether or not it will be the Blue Jays who finally make it an international World Series. They came close, you'll remember, in 1981, the Montreal Expos, but that was the year, Monday on Monday. Rick Monday against Steve Rogers, ninth inning of the final game, homers, and it was the Dodgers who went on to the World Series, and Montreal Expos sat out the winter. Well, we know now that the St. Louis Cardinals are awaiting the winner of this game tonight. Congratulations to Whitey Herzog and that St. Louis National League team. For a report, let's go to Lynn Berman.
At Dodger Stadium, the Cardinals wouldn't come out for the pregame introduction. They saved their camera time for the postgame. In the early going, it was all Dodgers. Mariano Duncan turned in the sparkling play in the second off Terry Pendleton. In the bottom of the second, Duncan now on offense. An RBI single, 2-0 Dodgers. Duncan singled, doubled, and tripled this afternoon. And when Bill Madlock homered in the fifth inning off Joaquin Andujar, the Dodgers led it 4-1 behind Orel Hershiser, who hadn't lost all year at Dodger Stadium. But in the seventh inning, Willie McGee singles up the middle with 2 outs. Darryl Porter and Tito Landrum scored. The Dodgers' lead was cut to 4-3. And then it was Ozzie Smith again, off Tom Niedenfuhrer again. Smith homered to win Monday's game. This time, a mere triple, but it was good enough to tie the game 4-4 as McGee scampered home. But Smith was stranded at third. In the bottom of the eighth, the first pitch from Todd Worrell, Mike Marshall hit this fly ball to right that wouldn't quit. It was a home run for Marshall as Andy Van Slyke couldn't get it. 5-4 Dodgers. Marshall the hero for just half an inning. Top of the ninth, it's Jack Clark up with 2 cards aboard. The Dodgers decide to pitch to him with first base open. First pitch. It's a 3-run homer off Niedenfuhrer to win the pennant for the Cardinals. Clark's first homer in 2 months. 7-5 the final. After dropping the first 2, St. Louis swept 4. And after opening champagne, the Cards now open the World Series on the road, either in another country or 250 miles west along Interstate 70. Back to you, Dick.
All right, Len, thanks to Clark, the Cardinals hit the jackpot today, and all the money's on the table. The Blue Jays and the Royals ready to roll for the American League Championship in Toronto. couple of California kids, you know, when you play marbles out there on the playground, you better have your best shooter going.
Everything's on the line tonight, you know, and I was in that position in the '79 World Series. We got down to that last game. You definitely want your best pitcher on the mound, and tonight there'll be no excuses because both teams got the best going for them.
Toronto's number one man is Dave Stieb, number one in the American League ERA during the course of the regular year. True to form here in the playoffs, he's allowed only one run in over 14 innings, and he struck out 14.
Dick, he's a very emotional pitcher out on the mound. A key to Kansas City may be to try to rattle him up a little bit and get him off of his game plan. He's a very intense pitcher, and you can rattle him at times.
Brett Saberhagen, the top pitcher on the Kansas City staff, a leading candidate for the American League Cy Young Award, composed at 21 years of age. He won 20, lost only 6 during the regular year. Drama here and back home in Kansas City. Brett Saberhagen's wife is expecting their first child any moment.
He took a vicious shot off the inside of the heel in the last time out, and it could possibly cause him some trouble in this game. If he can't land on that front foot, he could be high in the strike zone.
So Brett Saberhagen, the key is to watch his control. If he's wild high, that foot may be bothering him. For Dave Stieb, try to rattle him. If you can get him off his emotional game, that could be good news for the Kansas City Royals. You picked Toronto at the start.
At this point, it could be 50-50, but I'm going to stick with the Toronto Blue Jays because they have the home field advantage.
And we're about to find out. Dave Stieb goes against Brett Saberhagen, the finale of the American League season. Cardinals, will it be the first World Series that will feature a team outside the United States, the Toronto Blue Jays? Or will it be an all-Missouri I-70 series with the East represented by St. Louis and the West by the Kansas City Royals? Well, we're about to find out. We want to thank in closing Joe Morgan and Rick Dempsey for their help on these pregame shows. It's the American League pennant tonight, Kansas City and Toronto. And from Exhibition Stadium, we go now to NBC News.
This is NBC News Digest, sponsored by Slenderalls. Here is John Hart, NBC News.
Good evening. Israeli television tonight played recordings of a voice it said was PLO leader Mohammed Abbas talking to the hijackers of the Achille Lauro while they were still on the ship. Attorney General Edwin Meese says the United States is making headway pursuing Abbas, but he gave no details. The body of Leon Klinghoffer arrived in Rome en route home. Now this.
I love chocolate cookies and chocolate cake and chocolate ice cream with chocolate sauce and chocolate chips. But I don't love tummy bulges, so I wear Slenderalls, pantyhose, and control top panties all in one.
In South Africa, 2 black men were killed by police firing shotguns at rioters near Cape Town. 3 wounded, including a baby. In Los Angeles, the Cardinals won the National League pennant with a 7-5 comeback victory over the Dodgers. A 3-run homer by Jack Clark in the 9th inning. I'm John Hart in New York. More news later on this NBC station.
44 degrees at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto with a brisk wind blowing out toward right field. By game's end, temperatures could be in the high 30s. A trip to the World Series on the line and a pair of aces on the mound. Dave Stieb for Toronto, Brett Saberhagen for Kansas City. For the last time this season, hi again, everybody. Bob Costas along with Tony Kubek. Tony, I think it's interesting to note that while Brett Saberhagen is the likely Cy Young Award winner, the man who starts the game for Toronto and who seems to begin every year as the favorite to win that award in the American League is accorded the edge. Saberhagen was 20-6, Stieb just 14-13, but I guess it's a case of what have you done for me lately?
Well, doesn't it always boil down to pitching? These 2 teams have played close ball games all year long. 5 of the 6 games in this championship series have been decided by 2 or less runs. Is there an edge? I think yes. Dave Stieb, the way he's pitched in this thing, and the home ballpark. Remember, Saberhagen in Kansas City had a good fastball, but he couldn't get his curveball over, an important pitch to him. And in this cold, windy weather, he may have trouble gripping the ball. But ultimately, I think, Bob, that this league championship series and the American League pennant will be decided out of the bullpen. Tom Hinkey or Dan Quisenberry.
Saberhagen hit hard, of course, as Tony said in Game 3, his only appearance thus far in this series, while Stieb, in contrast, was masterful in a Game 1 victory and pitched well, although he was a little wild, 7 walks, in a no decision in Game 4. During the year, although Stieb lost 3 times to Kansas City, he pitched well in all those games. They were low-scoring contests. Saberhagen has never had much success against Toronto. So now the question, will it be an I-70 World Series with the Cardinals already qualifying? or a series better suited to an aviary with the Cardinals and Blue Jays perched atop their respective leagues? We'll find out as the American League's final drama unfolds next.
A day in the country. That's something to look forward to. And so is Ford Tempo, the car that shows a lot of forward thinking. Front-wheel drive, precise handling, fuel injection. And Tempo has a design that helps it hold the road. You'll also find Tempo makes the return home again a lot more fun.
Get 8.8 financing on 5-speed manual transmission Ford Tempos now.
Vicks NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest medicine. From Vicks, of course.
Power. That's what I practice for. Power. And afterward, I want all the power I can get in my antiperspirant. Speed Stick.
Now, Speed Stick is improved with the most powerful wetness fighter you can buy. Nothing, but nothing fights wetness better.
The Wide Stick. Man-sized protection. Saves a lot of strokes. Helps keep you drier and odor-free all day.
Now it's the most powerful you can buy. New improved Speed Stick antiperspirant.
By Menon.
The following message furnished by Major League Baseball.
Set your sights on the best in baseball. Order the 1985 World Series program. It's chock full of facts with World Series rosters and history, and more than 100 pages of articles and photographs, making the World Series program a collector's item, and it's the same one sold at the ballpark. Send $6 check or money order to World Series Program, Box 8585, Trenton, New Jersey, 08650. That's Box 8585, Trenton, New Jersey.
Hi, I'm George Brett, third baseman of the Kansas City Royals. As you see our lineup, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the guy that's pitching against us tonight, Dave Steve. His record, 14-13, is very misleading. He's pitched against us twice in the series, been very, very effective. I think if we're going to beat him today, we're going to have to take advantage of some of the opportunities that come up. I'm going to have to swing the bat good. I think Hal McRae's going to have to swing the bat good. Willie Wilson, if he gets on base, and Lonnie Smith, if they get on base, they can rattle him a little bit by stealing some bases. So whatever happens, enjoy yourself, and I hope Kansas City wins. It looks like the St. Louis Cardinals have just won by Jack Clark's 3-run home run. I hope it's an I-70 series.
Not if Dave Steve has anything to say about it. Working on 3 days rest has not affected him adversely during the season. He did it a couple of times and pitched pretty well, and he pitched well on 3 days rest in Game 4 of this series.
In the first ball game he pitched, he was all but awesome. He had a great overhand curveball, a hard one that he had not used very much during the season. The second game he didn't use it much, and he said simply, I didn't have to. He may have it back again today.